And so here are just some general tips and tricks in terms of handling and preventing challenging behaviors. Use clear, concise instructions to help with understanding and processing. And again, and I'm totally guilty of, I will totally admit that this is difficult for me, especially when I'm working with littles. Because when I'm working with littles, my natural inclination is, come on, buddy, let's go over here. We're going to play this. It's going to be so fun. I know you love it. And then as soon as we're done with that, we get, come on, buddy, we're going to go over here. Wah, 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 wah. I just became Charlie Brown's teacher. Odds are my client got absolutely nothing out of what I just said. And so, you know, save that positive affect and those happy tones for, you know, engaging in the task, and absolutely, you know, be as socially reinforcing as you can to your clients. But I really try to make the distinction between my praise voice and my instruction voice. So rather than all of that nonsense I just spewed, I would have been so much better off, and so would my client, if I had just said, time to sit down. Give 3, 2, 1, processing time. Nope, time to sit down. Give that 3, 2, 1, processing time, and then prompt the student over to follow through with my instruction. Another general tip or trick are some more, one is a slightly more advanced visual cue, and I particularly love this one for our students who struggle with emotional regulation. So like a really basic zones of regulation visual cue might be something super simple. There's like a red square at the top, a yellow one, and then a green one. Green one says, my body feels good, I'm happy. Yellow might say, my body feels funny and I'm not listening. And then red might say something like, I can't handle this myself right now, I feel bad. And then usually along like the right-hand side, there are some behavioral cues as to what the student can do when they're in each of those levels of regulation. So like next to the yellow square might say, I need to take 5 deep breaths and put my head down on my desk for a minute. And then the red one might say, I can't handle this, I need to ask an adult for help. So again, and that can be done with actual written words, it can be done with pictures, wherever that student is communication-wise. But again, it's just a visual cue that when one of our students starts to get dysregulated, it's just a simple, quiet reminder of what they can do to handle that. Another variation on visual cues is, again, many of our students struggle with communication. So using just pictures of desirable behaviors to remind the student what is expected of them. So if you've got a student that maybe has some trouble with too much auditory input and they get the happy feet and they're jumping and having trouble sitting down, rather than telling that student, buddy, I need quiet hands and I need your booty in the chair, and giving more auditory input that he might already be struggling with, just sliding a picture in front of him that shows a student sitting quietly, sitting nicely with a calm body. A couple more tips and tricks. I can't stress this one enough, guys. Beware of how much attention that you give to challenging behaviors. Again, even if you react in a way that you or I would perceive to be negative, again, that could absolutely be enough to maintain a challenging behavior for one of our clients. Like I have one student right now, or I had one student recently, where the challenging behavior was sliding out of his chair, dropping to the floor, and going completely noodle bones on me. And I did kind of the standard protocol the first few times of, gently ask him to come back. If he didn't, gently guide him back up to the chair. Sure enough, every time he would just drop on me again. And I was like, wait a minute, every time I'm prompting you back up into this chair, you are giggling like this is the coolest thing ever. And I was like, and I must have done it probably 4 times in a row before I realized, like, I'm completely playing into this. So the next time he dropped to the floor, I just turned my head and said, oh, wait. Sure enough, within maybe 10 seconds, 10, 15 seconds, he was back up in the chair. Because what I realized is he was not dropping to the floor. What I thought it was telling me is, I don't want to do this task. That's what I thought he was telling me. What he was actually telling me is, I like how it feels when you move my body around. And then another tip, when in doubt as to what an interfering behavior is telling you, take your best guess based on what you observe and make the opposite happen. So in that example I just gave with the kiddo who was dropping out of his chair, I hadn't worked with him very long, so I was not sure what it was telling me. But once I watched for another minute, I'm like, you know, I think this is telling me that you want the physical input. So I made the opposite happen. I just turned my head and said, I'll wait. Along those same lines, whatever a student is showing, whatever challenging behavior a client is showing you, one, if you don't like it, pay as little attention to it as possible, and also try to make that behavior make as little change to the environment as humanly possible. We all give up on behaviors when they're not working. If I was to walk up to one of you, let's say I'm lost, and I was to walk up to one of you and say, excuse me, and you don't turn around. Excuse me, and you don't turn around. Excuse me, and you still don't acknowledge me. I'm not going to keep standing there forever saying, excuse me, because what I need are directions, and you're not acknowledging me, and you're not giving me directions. I'm going to give up on that behavior with you because it's not getting me paid.